Guys, welcome back to my channel, The Ninja King, and today we're doing another chapter to Danganronpa Yakuza arc. And yeah, I know it has been 3 months. Let's not waste any more times and get on with the chapter. Chapter 6. After a few weeks, Hajime was released from the hospital. His injuries were recovering surprisingly fast, and the doctors assured him there would be no long-term damage for his encounter. He finally returned to his dorm rooms. It was late in the evening and the sun was beginning to creep benefits and building beneath the buildings links in the distance castles long shadows over the country's courtyard. He felt on the light to his small living room and compared. Hold on a minute, guys. I hate annoying pop-ups. And compared to many colleges, the dorm rooms of Hope's Peak reserve course were actually quite spacious. There were single bedrooms, single bathrooms, and they had small kitchens. Hajime had done very little to spruce up his room. He had few video games posters in the bedroom which Chiaki gave him, and a couch his parents let him take with him. Hajime had all the bare, bare basics. He did not lead any extravagant life. He walked straight to his bedroom and took a seat on a screen size bed. He checked his phone and saw that Natsume had blown up in inbox. I knew I should have given her my I shouldn't given her my number. He swept through them and a ton of messages stand up cranes, but quickly became more and more. Natsumi as progressed. Natsumi's message read as follow. Hey, how you doing? What did the doctor say? What's back at? School. 12:20 p.m. Did the ginger bits come back? What's her deal? Trying to get on our nuts? Lamea, what a slut. On your nuts, really. 1:37 p.m. I just got this cool keychains. I'll show you when you get back. 3:50. Yeah, I'm texting back. 4:01 p.m. What's your problem? 4:25 p.m. Seriously, you're the one who gave me the number. 4:55 p.m. Okay, fine. By the way, you prick. 15:11 p.m. A lot of angry faces. In 15:51 and 15:55 p.m. Are you pissed at me or something? Question mark. 6:03 p.m. Hajime sighed and put his plan to play. What happened to my boys today? Put his plane to his face. Crap! She's been texting me all day, and I didn't even notice. Guess I better respond. He opened up and repeated the tab quickly and typed the message. The doctors released me. They said I should fully recover by the end of the month. I'll be going back to school tomorrow. Hey, he typed it out and then hit send button. He glanced at the clock and decided it would probably be a good time to take a bath. But his thoughts were then interrupted as his phone beeped in his head, making him jump. She texted back already? He flipped it open. Jeez, I've been trying to text you all day. Do you know how frustrating that is? Question mark. She responded angrily. Hajime texted his own response. Sorry, I had it on silent. Didn't know you were worried about me. Nothing. There was no response yet as minutes ticked by. That's odd. The other times he responded almost immediately. 5 minutes later, his phone vibrated. I was worried. Just have a little common decency and response when someone messages you. Send a respond. Scolding. Hajime sighs and rolled his eyes a bit. Fine, I'll work on that. If you stop using you/your in your text. Bad grammar isn't cute, and it doesn't have to say must type time. Anyways, I gotta take a bath. See you later. He sent a phone down the stairs and started getting undressed when it vibrated noising again. Ew, you didn't need to tell me that. You told don't try to put an image in my head. Hajime chuckled. The next day Hajime got up and a little extra early since he needed more time to get ready. With his arm in a cast, even some basic tasks were slower and more complex, such as getting the dressed or making soldier and getting the dressed or making the bed. He slugged his backpack over his right shoulder and headed out of the doors. When he got to the reserve building, he saw Natsume waiting at the gate for him. That was not something she normally did. He approached her. Hey Natsumi, what's going on? He asked as other students snuffled in the past. Many of them turned their heads to look at Natsumi and Hajime before muttering to each other in shirky way. Natsumi had her arms crossed and she looked like little unsettled. I just wanted to worry about. I'm just to warn you about something before we go in. The things in everyone's been talking about since the incident. They're probably gonna treat you differently. Hell, they've been treating me differently. There are all kinds of rumors flying around about us and about what happened. She explained as it became more apparent that the passerbys were taking extra look at the two of them. Oh, I see. That could be a problem. He grinned, scratching the back of his head. Seriously, what happened to my grandma today? Pressing the back of his head with his free hand. But I would worry too much about it. I mean, at the end of the day, I really don't care what they think or say about us. Do you? He say. Hell no. I don't give two shits about what any of these no name NPCs really just call. I mean, I guess he's kind of right. Have you seen the Danganronpa anime and how all of the non-important characters are blue? Yeah. Think about it. I just wanted to give you a fair warning. That's all, she grumbled, turning away and walking inside with all that in mind. The two of them entered the school together. As they walked through the hall's pathway clearing for them, students whispered to themselves, I heard a bit that Sato girl unsurgery. No way, man, just look at him. He totally got his ass kicked. But the Sato girl was going to kill that Natsumi girl, right? The guy kinda like a school hero. Oh, if you say so. Is it too late to get on Team Sato? I heard those two are a thing now. Really? I almost feel sorry for that guy. Natsumi grimaced angrily as all the rumors murmurs, conveys, and whispers to each others. It was uncomfortable to say it at least, but Hajime knew it would pass eventually. Right now, the only person who mattered to Hajime this entire building was walking along his side. 2 weeks later, a month had passed since his fight with Sato. His arm had ribs were fully healed now. He felt refreshed and refreshed. Why am I keeping repeating this? Felt refreshed to finally be free from those troublesome bandages. The arm bandages was especially troublesome because he used chopsticks with his left hand. Primarily, what the fuck am I doing today? Left hand primarily. He could finally enjoy a good night's sleep without having to lay awkward in an awkward position to protect his injuries. Next morning, Hajime woke with a jolt. There was a loud thumping noise. He waited a few moments and it started again. Someone was knocking on his door and knocking knocking hard. He almost fell out of the bed, catching himself to grate. He pulled himself up and looked at the clock. 5 a.m. What the hell? He hastily slid into some swords and walked up to answer the door. When he opened it, it was a face to face with a tall girl with long gray hair, a pigtail. She wore glasses and had wild red eyes that pierced the souls. She had an athletic body, was well endowed in the chest area to say the least. Yeah, I'm reading all of this. She held her arms across Im- impotently. Hajime Hinata, I presume? She asked. Hajime was immediately a little unsettled by the idea of a girl knocking on his door at 5 a.m. What could she possibly want? But Hajime recognized her face. She was one of the unlimited students, evidently. Hajime was much better at remembering the female limited than the male ones. That's kind of rude, dude. Yeah, and you must be Peko Yama, the ultimate swordsman, right? Peko nodded. Yes, this is correct. I'm here to be your personal trainer, she said, flatting the bluntly. If Hajime should have already been expecting that. Come again? Hajime asked blankly. It was pretty early in the morning and he had hard time recollecting Peko's side annoyance. The letter you received mattered that you would be provided with a personal training in order to mold you into more of a physically fit protector of Lady Natsumi. Now hurry and get dressed, so we may begin. We don't have all day, she said, crossing her arms, glaring at him. Letter, oh yeah, I remember now. The letter from the Oyabama, he blunted out loudly immediately after he did that. Peko had pressed over his mouth. Are you some kind of imbecile or something? Don't speak so loud and freely about our business. Please, she asked politely before letting up the mouth. Okay. Sorry about that. I'll be more capable. But wait, never actually agreed to anything. I've never said that I would take him up on the offer, Hajime stamped. Are you saying you would like to decline the Obama's request? Peko asked coldly, once again giving him an ice-cold stare. It was even something she did intentionally. It was just how her face naturally was. No, I'm not saying it. Then hurry up and get dressed. You already wasted 5 solid minutes of training time. I will have to wake you up 5 minutes earlier tomorrow, she said hurriedly. Okay, just give me a second, he blunted before closing the door and putting his hands on his mouth. How the hell did I end up in this situation? Hajime scrambled through his gym shorts and a t-shirt and a pair of gym pants. He didn't want to keep the girl waiting. He took his few deep breaths and then opened the door. She was standing there eyeing him immediately. Well, are you ready to go? She asked, turning away from him. Yes, lead the way, Hajime replied, triggering his fist, steeling himself for some reason. He was feeling just a little bit pumped about this. He wasn't quite sure why. He followed the silver-haired girl to the school tracks. Like most school, the track was rubbery and ideal for avoiding catalyst damage and unnecessary sign splits. It was still pretty dark outside. Today I will be testing your physical fitness to make you an assessment for where you are at the terms of strength and endurance. This will inform how your training regime will be constitution. This is the first thing we will be doing is push-ups. I want you to do as many as you can without resting. If you attempt to cheat by not going low enough, then those push-ups won't count. Your arms must come to 90 degrees angles, she instructed as Hajime began to strain. Crap, he thought to himself. I always kinda cheat for these in middle school. That wasn't going to be an option if he had Peko looming over him the whole time. He got down on the ground, round and flat on his stomach, and he looked up at the silver haired beauty standing over him, just before remembering that the fact that she was wearing skirts. From this angle, he had a full view of what was underneath it. Okay, this guy is weird. Like, I'm not talking about Hazumi, but the guy that wrote him. I'm like a dope. Peko just now realized that as well, and she blushed furiously, taking a few steps away from him and reaching down to pull her skirt into the way to shield her panties. What, what are you looking at? She asked in a flustered, straining voice. Sorry, I just happened to look up. I didn't see anything, I promise. Hazmi played with her. He was lying though. His teeth, of course, teeth to his street. Of course, he had seen something quite interesting. He surprised that Drow must just make it easier for to maneuver in the combat. That had to be the reason she was wearing one, right? Pekka pulled herself together and brushed herself off, making sure to stay a solid 10 feet away from Hajime as he did his exchange. It doesn't matter. Let's just get on, shall we? Right. Hajime got to the upgrade, upright push-ups position and began his ribs. He brought him down so that his face was mere inches from the ground. He pushed back up. This was a lot harder than he had remembered. He knew he was in trouble earlier on. He struggled to keep his back straight as he lowered his body down and then back up. By the time he got to 21, it was all he had, and he gave up clumsily onto the ground. Pecco sighed and wrote in the number. I see, 21 push-ups max. Upper body strength, mediocre at best. Ouch, she muttered to herself as she wrote it down. Oh, come on. Did you really need to add the last part? Hazme whispered. The next part of the test is sit-ups. You will be given 60 seconds to do it, as many as you can. You can have a partner hold your feet down while you perform the exercise. ... Alright, I suppose I'm the only one here. Very well, she said, kneeling down. Hajime had already flipped over onto his back, getting onto the position. Pekka rested her knees on his shoes and held onto his ankles. She, however, over him and looking down. A sudden rush of blood swarmed to Hajime's face, and then was a rather awkward position to be in. All alone with a girl at night in the middle of field with her body pressing against him. Couldn't think of many times he had been in this close to a girl before. Pecker's face was also a bit flushed. Flushed. Well, what are you waiting for? You may begin any time that you like, she said sharply. Hajime snapped back to reality and he began his sit-ups. He knew these would be a lot easier for him than push-ups. He should be able to get a decent score here. He clawed his stones upwards, but as he did, he brought his face disturbingly close to Pecco. She backed away and turned her head to the two sides, blushing. It was her fault for leaning forward and having her face in such a careless spot. Hajime did his best to contain all this excitement. Actually, helped him to push a lot harder than normally would have. He ended up doing 30 sit-ups by the end. Better than your push-up score, but still needs work, she said as she scraped the notes onto her little black booklet. Peko? Hazme asked meekly. Peko realized she was still on top of him, even though he was long finished. Oh, of course. My apologies. Peko muttered as she jumped onto the brushed her legs off. She then pulled out a stopwatch and walked over the edge. Do you any strength or warm-ups? Then you feel necessary. You will be doing 3 kilometers run. Be sure to pace yourself accordingly, she admired, holding the stopwatch in her hand. Hajime did a few stresses and already was a bit approaching about this. He was not proficient in any sorts of sorts, and his body was not all associated to running long distance. A 2 kilometer run he could probably handle, but a 3 was little much. Hajime finished sprinting and walked up to the stress. I will count your laps for you, tell you what your time is as you pass by. Remember to pace yourself. If you need to vomit, do so. Do so off to the side of the track. Hajime's stomach turned a bit at that thought. He took a few deep breaths and out to clear himself, and he get his heart rate down. He knew that he would need to pace himself at brisk job for this kind of distance. Begin! Peko yelled swimmingly, her arms down and stressed. Hajime took from running and quick pace for first 50 meters, followed by intermittent stressing at starting a race. But he caught himself quickly and corrected his pace to something much more suitable that wasn't a race. He had taken his time, otherwise he would burn out quickly. Thankfully, there was no other participant in this test. That would have been pressure on him into a more exotic piece. He kept his cool and charm along. This would be easier if he brought music or if he owned a MP3 player to begin with. His mind wandered as he jogged. It was refreshing to feel the crisping morning air on his sweet, glistening skin as he ran. Of course, that liberated feeling warmed up quickly. This kinda sucks, he thought to himself. His body was rejecting the strength and activity on his heart was opening and his chest. He managed to finish his second collier, but after that he had to start walking to catch his breath. Peko shouldered at him from it. What are you doing? You can't start walking now. You have another kilometer to run. It's only two more laps, and you're going to run your score if you keep this up. Hajime could barely hear her. His ears were ringing, and all he could hear was the sound of his own heavy breathing. He was not preparing for this test at all, and he panted and clutched his sides. As he began to cramp up, he had to finish this, even if it meant 5 more minutes of hell. He began to resume his jog, albeit at a slower pace. He finished the lap at this speed, and he could taste blood in his mouth. His throat was dry and he was lightheaded. In this last lap, he increased his pace just to try and end it as quickly as possible and maybe slaves his time. Saved. I think they messed up the word, but I'm not so sure about it. Yeah, I'm just gonna be ignoring this one. He used the last of his energy as he stumbled over the finish line. He learned to overplace his head on his knee and gasping for air. Peko climbed and stopped watch and shook her head. 19 minutes and 38 seconds. This is unfortunate. I see we have a lot of work ahead of us, she said, looking down at him with pity. Hajime dropped on his knees as he gasped and panted, trying to catch his breath, and essayed the sharp pain on his chest. He felt necessary and he clapped his head over his mouth, trying to focus not not vomiting. He leaned over the grass and have it a few times. It appears you need hydrate more. The training you will be enduring are far more stationaries, and if you aren't properly hydrated, you could seriously injure yourself. She cast she castigated as she handed Hajime a bottle of water. He snatched it and greenly chugged it down. Hey, don't just gulp it down all at once. You're going to make yourself sick, and your body won't properly absorb it all. Drink slowly, it's more beneficial. Hajime learned that the hard way as his stomach turned and he once again felt nauseous. He covered his mouth and waited for the sickness to pass. He turned to Peko with a weak smile. Thanks for the advice, Peko. You really know your stuff, don't you? He managed to get out in between his raging panting. Peko blushed slightly at the compliment and then closed her eyes, adjusting her glasses with her fingers. This is simple physical fitness 101. You really should start taking your health of your body more seriously. Other people are going to be counting on you, especially Natsumi. Especially Natsumi. You can't offer to become weak, lazy, or slobbish, understand? She said in a serious tone, crossing her arms, but then she smiled warmly. However, I could tell that you put 100% into today's exercise. So good work. You will need to maintain that focus because training will be far more strenuous in the future. Is that understood? Hajime gulped and looked up at her as she bent down at him, giving off an aura of a professional and wisdom. Professionalism and wisdom. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, he replied as a sweat dripped down from his forehead. Pekka was so much different from the other girls that Hazame had known. She was the ultimate after all. He could even begin to imagine what kind of life she had lived and how it differed from his. He had no clue how she became the fearless, relatable person that she was. He wondered if he could ever approach that. Pekka put the storm's watch away and pulled out a small bucket which she bagged within. I will save a result of your test today, and we will compare them to when we test again in 2 months. Now you may return to your dorm shower, 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 and proceed with your day. Sorry, I had to repeat that word a few times. You are devastated, she said as she turned to walk away. The sun was beginning to rise over the horizon, and Hajime could help but feel that something in him was different than before. He could get a little warm out of the morning sun. And I'm gonna end it off here for today. Tomorrow we'll continue the story with chapter 7, and I hope you guys liked this chapter. And if for anyone want to read it, it's on the Danganronpa subreddit. Not subreddit, more like it's more in the Amino app. Or you can just Google it for anyone that wants to get the next part as soon as possible. Until then, I hope all of you have a good day. Bye.